What is your favorite and that's why we had to put this sign up. Story? Was chatting with students in the lounge area when all of a sudden, we hear an incredibly loud bang. Turns out that another new student had been texting while walking to our center's demo room and totally missed the fact that the room's walls are all panes of glass. So she ultimately face planted in front of me and my group. Not the first time this has happened. But this was enough to warrant a caution. Glass ahead sign. There's a glass door in a control tower at Miami International Airport that has a caution door sign on it for similar reasons. I was the one who walked into it. Through my cousin who managed a restaurant for years. On the hostess stand at the front they had a sign that said we smoke our meats with premium apple wood. A small bowl of the wood chips they used placed right in front of it. The amount of people who would take a wood chip and try to eat it was staggering. It got to the point they had to keep the bag of the wood chips in the cabinet of the hostess stand. People would sometimes put them in their mouth and spit it out embarrassed. And try to cover it up. Some would laugh and say I shouldn't have had that last drink. Others would turn around, double down, and try to give the saliva covered chip to the hostess then complain that these mints are disgusting. So there is now another sign beside the bowl that says wood chips do not eat in red letters. Makes for fun conversation every night for the hostesses seating people who are new to the restaurant. Unfortunately they still need to keep an extra bag of wood chips in the stand and people still think they look like a great after dinner snack. Now when the double downers complain the hostess just points to the sign and laughs. People never cease to amaze. A coffee shop I used to go to had a coffee mug on the counter with pens for customers to sign receipts. And for some reason they filled it halfway with coffee beans. Of course they had to put up a sign do not eat. Shortly after, I work at the dining hall at my university and was cleaning the salad bar when I noticed a small fire coming from our toaster oven. After running to find my manager we eventually put it out. Turns out some guy stuck a piece of pie in there with a paper plate and the entire thing bursted into flames. Please only put bread in the toaster became the new sign. Someone shone a urinal every block over the course of 2 weeks without anyone noticing. After it was cleaned a sign was put up saying please do not put things in the urinal. The sign was promptly found inside the urinal. I work in an office and in the bathroom we have a sign that says please don't flush printer paper. Throw your divorce papers in the trash. Now every time someone in our office has to use the bathroom we say I gotta go flush the divorce papers. Local park has a sign telling pet owners to pick up their pets' feces in several languages. Place was shut down at one point and a tree was taken down because there was so much poop. They now have a police officer patrolling the place. I live in Vancouver, where the incident happened where the sea lion grabbed that girl and dragged her underwater and the grandpa had to save her. In the area where that happened there's a sign that says no feeding the sea lions, as a visual depiction. Haven't been back in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's still there. Near my old city, there was a street sign that roughly said when translated, "Don't cross here you could die." Eventually, it became "Don't cross here. Someone already died." Saw a sign like that near a waterfall on our honeymoon. It said something to the effect of, 15 people have died here after leaving the path and falling on the slippery rocks. Definitely got my attention. In a mountain town in my state, there is a very steep 2-lane road that leads down a mountain, through a small town, and to the intersection with a sharp right hand turn. On the other side of the crossroad is a rock wall with dozens of white crosses painted on it. One for every person who came down the mountain too fast and couldn't stop. My stepdad worked at a shipping yard and they had to put cylindrical tanks in one of 2 spots indicating whether they were full of gas or empty. So one day, the boss asks a guy to wield 2 signs, one saying full and the other saying empty. This guy wasn't all there and he did create the signs and showed them off to the boss. The first one was well made, full. It said. The second one, empty. They all found it so funny they kept it that way. There is a bad habit among the shop workers of my area at least. When an oxygen or acetylene bottle is empty, they take a paint marker and write empty on the tank. It's really obnoxious because those tanks get reused all the time so when they come back full it still read empty. We had one guy get written up because he took a wire wheel brush on a grinder to erase it. It was acetylene and it was very much full. Don't take power tools to explosive tanks, kids. It's a effing dumb move. We had to place a no hanging around outside sign up because the teenagers did not know what no loitering meant. I work in private security. I once upon a time had to ask a group of people hanging out in a hospital parking garage to leave. They asked why. I said we had a policy of no loitering in the garage due to some issues we had been having with break-ins. Their response was, we ain't loitering. We just waiting around. At the college I went to, there was a sign on the men's bathroom in one building that said, please don't use your feet to flush the toilets, because some dude drop kicked the toilet in an attempt to flush it. I've never laughed so hard reading a sign in my life. My old workplace put signs in each stall saying, please don't kick me, with weird clip art of a crying toilet. I never understood what they meant by kicking the toilets, or why it happened enough that a sign had to be put up. Until now. There is a sign on the way to my grandparents' house that had a picture of a cow falling off of a cliff onto a car. Because there is a cattle field on the cliff above the road. And at least 3 cows have fallen to there and an unlucky driver's death. What a terrible and hilarious way to go. Back when I was a kid, there was a roadside park we picnicked at where a guy chasing a frisbee jumped a fence. Not realizing that those were not bushes on the other side, but the tops of trees growing from the base of a 30-foot cliff. So anyway, that's how that park came to have signs every 10 feet on the fence warning of the drop. A couple of guys, I know one of them, did this in our city at a ramp for underground parking for the law courts. They were drunk and decided that they could jump the hedge in front of them. Broken ankles for everyone. Sadly, they sued and won over lack of signage. I still think dumb is its own reward. Once we had a guy near the pool feed seagulls, so now the hotel I work at has a no seagulls allowed sign near the pools. Seagulls are illiterate a-holes. I doubt that'll stop them. They had to put up a large sign at a local nursing home saying basically don't let people out the door to outside without checking with staff. Evidently a resident, in a gown and wheelchair, asked a visitor to hold the door, with an alarm and a keypad code to open for them. And the person did. The staff ran out and got the patient at the end of the driveway about to push out into traffic. The visitor actually said, I didn't know she wasn't allowed out. I have heard of some retirement homes that will have a bus stop built on the sidewalk between the main building and the road. And it has a big sign saying bus stop on it. So if a person slips out, they often would get to the bus stop and then sit down to wait for the bus. Staff would keep an eye on the bus stop and round up anybody that was out there waiting for the bus. The real bus stop was on the street and you had to walk a little bit further to get to it. My favorite mostly because it happened to me, but not because it was a great experience. When I was about 6, we lived across the street from a park and my sister and I would go play over there all the time, of course. On this particular summer day, we had our best friends over, who also happened to be sisters. My best friend and I decide to go back across the street to get some popsicles. And my mother is across the street to supervise the crossing. This was a useless effort, because I had stepped between the cars parked on my side of the street to check if the coast was clear. I was too short to see over them, and I got hit by a car. I was in the hospital for a month because my skull was cracked, for the second time in my life, lol. Anyway, after that, they put up a sign that said slow children at play. We moved shortly after all this, but it's still there, and whenever I pass it I am reminded that it's there because of me. My husband and I moved into our first home. It was a completely renovated, amazingly cool house. We knew the previous owner flipped it and it was a bona fide bachelor pad, leather bar, pinball machine, blue underlighting in the kitchen's bathroom, hot tub, the whole 9 yards. A few weeks after moving in, we noticed people kept stopping by the house asking for Alex. We told them he didn't live here anymore and they always would ask if we had his new address. They were nice enough, but it was starting to get annoying. One Tuesday evening around 11 o'clock we were falling asleep on the couch and all of a sudden some guy strung out appeared in our living room. He opened the sliding door right next to us and walked in asking for Alex. My husband stood up and was like, WTF, Alex doesn't live here anymore, tell all your friends, and the guy left. We learned the next day from our neighbors that Alex was the local dog kingpin in the area and frequently had his unsavory clientele over to pick up product here at all hours of the day night. That weekend we put up a sign that said Alex doesn't live here, went out and got a massive Rottweiler. We named him Alex. At a seminar on new colostomy supplies, there was a sticker on the colostomy bag collar, the part your modified intestine sticks through, stating that the colostomy was not to be used for SUAL pleasure. I don't know the backstory, but according to a doctor I know, it's disturbingly common for people to catch STDs in their colostomy hole because, well, I had to learn that. So you'll do too. We have a rule at our pool that in the sauna you can't exercise. One man consistently works out in the sauna. I used to go to a gym where a lady would regularly do naked yoga in the sauna. I guess she wanted to do hot yoga and the gym didn't offer it. One day I noticed that they had drained, cleaned, and refilled the pool at my apartment complex. A few days later I noticed a new sign on the pool area gate that said persons with active diarrhea or who have had diarrhea in the past 48 hours are not permitted to enter the pool. I've also seen this sign at spas. People be nasty. We've got a huge sign in our campus that says beware of geese. I've never seen a goose in the area before. But I've also never seen any people set a foot there. When I asked my art professors what it is about, she said they put it there because kids used to skip classes and drink smoke there. I guess it worked. I know if I saw a sign like that, I wouldn't take the risk. Geese are mean moth affairs. Not necessarily a sign we put up, but worked with an assistant manager at Sonic who had poured Begreaser in her drink and proceeded to drink it to claim that someone had tried poisoning her. And of course, upon reviewing the infamous non-working camera system and watching her poison herself, every employee at that point had to sign paperwork stating we would not drink cleaning chemicals. The other day a woman was tanning in the middle of a shooting range. I think some new signs will be made. When you wanna get an ice tan but also high key wanna die,